if you look in the 60s and today, if you look in print and TV and digital advertising, there's one thing that remains the same, is that there's a consumer out there that is going to spend their time looking at you, and you should better make them a good use of their time so they appreciate it, so they can pay back with some love for your brand and buy your product.
I think what fundamentally is the same in advertising today and 50 years ago and probably 50 years from now is that great creative matters a great deal, and that telling your story, wherever you're telling your story, be that on Facebook, be that on a mobile device, be that on television, be that in print, is critically important. And so there's not that, I think we sometimes as an industry go through these moments thinking that, okay, there's a new medium out there and we have to, how are we going to rewrite the rules? But at the end of the day, great creative is great creative, and if you tell your story well and engage consumers well, that is going to be important and that is going to be effective.
I think one thing that stays the same in the advertising world is that video works. Sight, sound, and motion works. That's a huge focus for us in terms of engaging visitors, and I don't think that's going to change. It's about new ways, finding new creative ways to use video in a much more online, targeted, accountable world.
Through all this change, it still is about the ability to connect on a mass scale with the people, with eyeballs. And it's the element of eyeballs that are changing as far as, is it just creating a message where the consumers can visually watch a creative experience, or is it about them being able to react, interact, and engage with that experience? And I think that's what's changing from where we are today to where we're going to.
Well, actually, it's interesting. I mean, if I went back to 1950s, you know, what remains the same? If I went to JWT in Berkeley Square in London in the 1950s, they had a TV department, which you could say, you know, which had just taken over or was taking over from radio and from, not taking over from posters, but newspapers and magazines, but was regarded as being a threat, just like digital is today. There was a PR department, Lexington PR, which is now part of Hill & Knowlton, so we've specialized that. There was a media department, which again is now, would be inside Mindshare as part of Group M. There was a research department, BMRB, British Market Research Bureau, which is now part of Kantar. So in a way, there's nothing new. What we've done is focus all those functions into separate verticals, and now, with our principle of horizontality, in addition to new markets and new media and data investment management, that's our strategy. What we're trying to do is to leverage everything we've got in specialized features to the benefit of clients.
Despite all the change in the advertising industry, I think what stays the same is the need to bring people into the story, to help them connect to a brand in a meaningful way. The big, why would people care? Which some people like to call the idea. But I think it's more fundamental than an idea. I think it's about the emotional connection. That does not change. In the amount of news and noise we have, if the emotional connection isn't there, you're here and gone, and it's just all about share mind.
So what stays the same is customers. While the customer evolves, the fact that we are actually doing this all for the customer.
With all the change in the digital meeting, the advertising industry, I think the constant is that ultimately we have to tell stories. We have new ways to tell stories, we have different ways to tell stories, but we have to tell a story because that's the way humans think. We tell stories.
What stays the same, in my opinion, is the power of a strong idea, especially a strong creative idea. You know, it's not enough just to say you have a mobile campaign. It better be a damn good mobile campaign. And to do that, you need a good creative idea.
One thing that stays the same is that brands need to continue to connect with consumers, need to continue to sell their products, and consumers are still interested to hear from the brands when the content they hear from the brands is interesting. So that doesn't change. Whether the media is TV, Twitter, Facebook, or Google, the connection between brand and consumers is not changing dramatically.